Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Fix It or Sink It, where I'm taking this scrap 24-foot yacht and turning it into something seaworthy. Now, you might remember from the last episode, we were tackling electrics. We ripped out all the electrics from the under the seats here, the bilges, and the engine bay here. After I finished recording, I had a slight accident and I stood on this and it all collapsed. So first thing we need to do today is get all of this out. Just tidy it up. I'm going to cut the timber here just to neaten it up and make it so that I'm not going to end up falling when I'm getting in and out of the boat, because while I haven't got the steps here, it's really difficult getting in and out. So we're going to sort that out first, and then we're going to crack on, and I'm going to show you a really serious problem with this boat that we need to start working on sooner rather than later. Now then, clumsy me, I trod on this and it all collapsed. It's all rotten behind here. I can literally pull out the timber and break it with my fingers. It's totally rotten. So I need to cut it all out anyway. So I'm just going to make it safe. I'm going to whip these screws out and then cut this timber, tidy it all up. Right, let's get on. Actually, there's not much holding it in. I'm going to cut that first. I'd like to keep the stainless steel strip because that would have been the original strip that went here at the bottom of the washboards. So it's been held in at some point with these horrible steel screws. So I'm going to take that down to my workbench and see if I can get these screws out using the impact driver. If not, I'll chop them off or drill them out and try and save that. Right, well that's a bit safer for me. I'm not actually going to take this beam out yet, even though it is completely rotten and I can break bits off it. I haven't 100% decided what I'm going to do with this area. And so I'm not going to whip that out just yet. I'm going to leave it in place so that I've still got the structure as a bit of a template to work to if I need to, and I can have a little think about it. This is solid and it's actually tabbed in at the other end, same the other side, but there is still a lot of rotten wood in there. So I'm going to leave that in place. This as well is a bit soft on the top, so that's going to have to be replaced. But again, I'll leave that in. That one's solid. It'll have a good check over, but if that's solid, that can stay. Right, I'm quite happy with that. I'm safe getting in and out of the boat now, and I don't feel like I'm going to break my neck. Somebody had put some fiberglass here because the bottom of this frame is rotten. So again, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that just yet, but that's really the least of my worries at the moment. So let's get a little bit cleaned up, and then I need to show you a really serious issue. Results from the wire weighing competition. Drum roll please. 4.5 kilograms. I've removed 4.5 kilograms of wiring from my scrap yacht project. There's a bit more left in there, but that can come out another time. Right, let's crack on. We've got a lot more stuff to take out of this boat so we can make some progress. So here we are in the front of the boat, and one of the biggest issues I've got with the boat is mast compression. Now my mast sits on the coach roof, so any load, any downward force is pushing that coach roof and effectively trying to push it in. Now some yachts you'll see have a compression post that go from this point down to the keel, and that holds everything up and holds it nice and stiff, but this boat doesn't. So everything's loading on this point here, and when they built the boats they should have created the coach roof in this area strong enough to take the downward force. Sadly they didn't, and this is one of the big failings of the Hurley 2470 yachts, and at some point every single owner of one of these boats is going to have to do a repair, and now I'm one of them. So you can see here, this is where the two bulkheads, the forward bulkheads meet. We've got a gap that I could just about get my little finger into. And you can see that that gap is tapered, and the further up we go, the smaller it gets. So effectively, the mast is pushing the coach roof down and the bulkheads apart. So this is something that I do need to sort out. If it's left, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Somebody has put some timber here to the side at one point in an attempt to sort it out, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad repair, but it's just not quite enough. And I mean, this is part of a main repair, but it's just not quite enough. So what I need to do is get rid of some of this stuff, like this old curtain rail, and effectively jack the coach roof back up and try and close this gap. Once that gap is closed, I need to fabricate some hardwood pieces that are going to sit up here and actually support the roof. You can see there is a small hardwood piece which is coming out down here, which I can actually pull out if I wanted to, but I'll take it out properly. And on the other side that you can't see, the hardwood piece has actually fallen off. It's been pushed off due to the compression. So we've got quite a substantial repair to do here. We've also got some distortion to the bulkheads. I don't know if they're going to go back, but we'll soon find out. Hopefully they are, and I don't have to cut those out and replace them. We need to rig up a post here down to the floor on some timber with a jack underneath it that we can physically push the coach roof back up. We're probably only talking about 10 mil. It's not much, but as I say, if it was left, it would just get worse and worse and worse. And having done a bit of research into this exact problem on this exact boat, there are boats out there much worse than this, and they've been repaired. So, you know, it should be okay. Now, it's worth mentioning, I've checked the deck core. So up on deck, you've got your top layer of fiberglass, gel coat and fiberglass. Beneath that, you'll have a core, which is normally either plywood or balsa core. On the side decks, it's likely to be balsa. Here on the mast support point, it's going to be plywood. I've checked that. It's dry. There's no signs of that sagging or anything. It is literally just the whole coach roof is pushing down. If we had deck core issues, that's a completely different kettle of fish, and we have to start cutting out and replacing the timber inside. But fortunately, touch wood, we don't have any problems there. Okay, let's crack on. Let's remove this. Right, that's out of the way. This is starting to fall down. You can see the gap here where I've got my hand. At one point I was thinking I'll take that off. Actually, I think I'll leave it there because it is wedged in place. Here, if you look at the top right corner of the screen here, you've got this timber. Let's move the camera a bit. You've got this timber, which is actually supporting this timber. This is part of the repair, and this historical repair. This, I would say, is original. I'm going to try and leave it in place, and we're going to try and jack here and see if I can get any movement on the coach roof. Right, I just want to show you what I've done here. So I've got a big block of nylon on the floor. I've got a 2-ton car jack, a piece of timber, a scaffold pole, all the way up to the roof, another piece of timber, and then that's landing on the compression pad. So my plan is to jack up here on the 2-ton car jack and see if I can get movement on the coach roof and see if this gap closes as I jack it up. Let's see what happens, shall we? So this bulkhead is now loose, and we've got quite a nice gap above it. So that's really promising. I mean, there's no indicators on the outside that I can look at because it was such a slight compression that there was nothing really to see on the outside. My only things to work to are this bulkhead. I don't think that's far off either. But the bulkhead is not springing back the way I hoped it would. It's probably because it's been like it for so long. Right, so we've proven that jacking up the coach roof is doing what we want it to do, but I'm just trying something different. So now I've got my 2-ton car jack on loads of timber on the floor to really spread the load, up a steel pole, and I am here on the bulkhead now. So I would like to try and jack the bulkhead up to push the coach roof and close this gap and just see what that does. It's a bit of an experiment. Right, I'm pausing there. There's lots of creaking. It's definitely closed. Yeah, that's definitely doing something. Okay. That was working until it came out. Right, so I've set that up once more. Exactly the same, except I've got big timber here. And I'm hoping as I lift, it's going to push both sides of the bulkhead at the same time. Here we go. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to leave that in place. And my next step is to figure out woodwork, just how I want to support all of this. Right, so from jacking up the bulkhead here, this gap has shrunk and it's opened up here. Now, we've still got a slight downward angle here and here, but with the deflection that we've got on these bulkheads, I don't think we're going to lose that. This side isn't quite so bad, but that fits really nicely around the top of the bulkhead now. There's no pressure points and there's no gaps. The other bulkheads, the toilet bulkhead and that mini bulkhead here, are all very good. So I'm happy with that, and I think now I need to make some timbers to fit in here that will bolt through both sides, and then if need be I can trim this here back straight and it should look pretty good. And looking from this side, you can see how this gap here has opened up at the top and closed at the bottom. It's not perfect, but as I was just mentioning, it does sit very nicely. Now this timber here, I am going to try and remove this now. It's wedged in place here, but behind here it's actually loose. So it's only fixed from there onwards, and they're only very short fixings anyway. So I'm going to try and get that out because I can't do anything with it in place. So let's work on that next. So this piece of timber here, bolted in with these 4 bolts, which is the bottom of the tabernacle, the base of the mast, is actually stopping this from coming out here. So we need to go and release these 4 bolts now. What should have been such an easy job nearly killed me. There it is, the piece of timber we wanted to remove, and this is why we were having such a problem removing it. 4 mild steel bolts going through that were solid in there. Fortunately, everything's dry. You can see corrosion around that one, so I'm not altogether saddened that I've had to knock these out and practically destroy them, because these will be going back in as nice stainless. I'm going to inspect this, see what it's like. If it's a bit rough, then I might make a new one, but we'll have a little look at it. Now I've got that out, we can go back to what we were doing and get that last bit of timber out. So we got the timber out. Now you can see a bit better just how much this is closed up. But if we look closely here, there's no gaps here anymore, all the way down. That's a screw I need to remove, but there's no gaps. So I think that is exactly where the bulkhead wants to be. Otherwise, if it wasn't, we'd see some gaps and some light coming through there. So I know we've still got some gaps down here and a gap there, but with the deflection on the bulkheads here and the forces that they've been subject to, I'm not really surprised, and I don't think that's going to go back anymore. So next step is get some good chunky timber. We need to get a pattern of both sides of this bulkhead and lay that pattern onto the chunky timber to create our new bulkhead supports. I'm going to leave this in place and trim it wherever I need to, however I need to, depending on where the new supports go. It should probably be here, probably straight across there or something like that. So I'm going to leave that in place because that is a good strong support. There's nothing wrong with that. We can have a little inspection of the mast base while we're here. A little hole that someone's cut there, perhaps to run some wires. Not too worried, that's all strong. There obviously has been some water in here, so I'm going to want to just check these before I put the new bolts in. But it's very, very deep, and it looks okay from what I can see so far. I just made this cardboard template, but I'm not really very happy with it. There's a lot of gaps above and it's all a bit wiggly. So I'm going to try using some paper. Now I've got this brown paper that's used for masking. So I'm going to take that up there and just have a quick go and see if this is any easier than using the cardboard. Our template here now, which is showing the curvature of the roof of the boat. Right, so that should be a perfect template now that will slot straight in and follow the bulkhead line, and we can create our timber using this. All being well, this will fit beautifully. That's perfect. Right, let's get our template up. There we go, 2 finished templates, one for either side of the bulkhead. All I need now is some wood. Well, that's about all we've got time for today. We've got these templates made, so I can now transfer these onto our timber. I need to buy some timber, and then we can cut it out and bolt it onto the bulkhead, make it nice and strong and no more saggy coach roof. Now, before we finish, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody from the bottom of my heart for subscribing to my channel. It means so much, and I'm blown away by all of your support. We've got loads more to do on this old girl yet, so keep watching, there's a hell of a lot more to come. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, subscribe, put your comments down below, press that bell icon, and you'll be notified of every single video that I upload. Give me the thumbs up as well if you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.